Hello and welcome back to the port. I'm the Guépratte Major, and this is the Patreon selected review for the Tier 5 premium French battleship Dunkerque. Once per patch, the patrons make a selection of ships they would like to see reviewed or let's played or types of videos they want, and then it goes down to a vote, and then the winning choice ends up being made by myself. And today it is the Dunkerque, or this patch I should say, is the Dunkerque. Now today is a game of domination on neighbours. On the enemy team we have a Mass, a Nuremberg, a Leander, a Pensacola, an Izumo, a Normandy, a Warspite, a New Mexico and a Gneisenau. So it is a tier 5 and 6 game. And we are spotted, so most likely the enemy destroyer has moved into the Bravo objective. Now, Dunkerque is the lead ship of her class, which consists of two ships, Dunkerque and Strasbourg, and they were a pair of fast battleships built in the 1930s for the Marine Nationale. Now, they were originally started to be designed as counters to Italian heavy cruisers. However, as time went by, they then started to become more of a design to counter the Kriegsmarine class of Panzerschiff cruisers, Deutschland class. So it's quite an intriguing design, and it's worth bearing in mind what they're designed for when you play in them. They are battleships based on their compartmentalizations and stuff, but sometimes you almost try and think of them as like a kind of very heavy cruiser or something like that, because they're designed to counter the Graf Spee and the Admiral Scheer and the Deutschland. So it's kind of worth thinking them as like those kind of cruiser killers. So, as always, in comparison to the tech tree ships, survivability wise, she has the third lowest HP base, but only just below average, and the same in regards to her HP pool, which is the total amount of HP she have after using her repair parties. She does have a above average torpedo reduction though of 25%, which is actually quite nice. It's a nice little feather to her cap, I guess you could say. Now, when it comes to the armour, it's always best to go back to the port and have a look at that armour viewer, so I'll meet you back in the game in a bit. So let's take a look at the armour back in the port. So here is Dunkerque with all the armour highlighted, and I guess the first thing we'll start off with is the main superstructure above the water, and that's the conning tower. Now this is obviously covered in quite thin plating. You're looking at about 16mm over most of it. Obviously there are some thicker sections like the barbette of the secondary turret towards the rear, and also the citadel slash conning tower which you do have up front, but apart from that it is a very thinly plated harvestable area for high explosives and small caliber armor piercing rounds. Now another thing it's worth drawing your attention to is it is a little bit deceiving because it does look like she's covered in 25mm plate, but one of the reasons for that is the torpedo protection, because the torpedo protection does actually ride quite high in this ship. And it's only 25mm, but then torpedo protection is torpedo protection, so behind that would be a nice cushion of water in some cases in order to resist the torpedo explosion, or it could be an inert gas or something like that, depending on the case of the design. So if we take that away, we can now see a lot more of that lovely armoured bout that the Dunkerque does have. Now, obviously, that does mean that the bow and the stern are basically covered in 25mm plating, which means that they can only resist AP up to 14 inches. So 15-inch guns, 16-inch guns are going to be able to punch straight through that. So what does that mean? Well, it means they're going to be going straight into your citadel, which is a scary concept. So when playing the Dunkerque, try to resist the idea of playing her like a little baby Jean Bar. She is not a battle tanker. You want to play her a bit more like a Nelson, where you want to be offering an angle and trying to get it off your main armoured bout, trying to offer that armoured bout to them if you can. Now yes, you are correct, you are seeing a turtleback armour scheme on the Citadel, and we'll come back to that. So, in the upper part, we have what they call the auxiliary room. Basically, this is just a big chaff area where it's basically there's not a lot of armor there because it's not anything vital. So this would be like areas where the crew would live, where the mess decks would be, and things like that. So obviously there's HP assigned to that, so that does mean that she does have a harvestable amount of HP located behind this 25mm plating, but it doesn't mean you're going to be getting to anything vulnerable, anything like the magazines or anything like that. So if we take that away, you can see that she then has a further armored deck, which is quite nice, so you're going to have to be able to get through to that. Also, you can note that the turrets are quite thickly armoured all over, and their barbettes go all the way but down, so it doesn't look like getting incapacitations on these turrets is going to be easy. If we take the turrets away, we can continue to look at, say, the armoured deck. Now, the interesting one is obviously for a shell to obviously get to your citadel, it's going to have to go through the 25mm side skirting of the torpedo protection, then it's going to have to go through the outer armoured bow, which is 175 to 225mm, and it has to go through the inner armoured bow, which is 40mm to 130mm, then it would have to go through the side of the citadel, which is another 40 to 50mm. So she does have a number of spaced armour layers, I guess you can say. So it'd be interesting to see how those stand up. Now, if we take away the casement armour, you can see that the citadel is quite low. It's just above the water level. It's got the same armour all over. So I guess it's one of those where I think at long range or through the nose, she's going to be quite exposed, but if you reasonable fighting range, where the shell's going to be quite horizontal, you shouldn't be getting any kind of citadels against you. But obviously proof will be in the pudding as we play her along. So let's go back to the game. Well, welcome back. Time to move on to the artillery. Well, we have 8 13-inch guns in 2 quadruple turrets, both mounted forward. A turret with B turret super firing. Now, these do have an average range of 16.1 kilometers. They have a joint fastest reload of 28 seconds. Best traverse speed for the tier though, we're taking 36 seconds to traverse 180 degrees, which is quite nice. So definitely classifying her with that nimble aim trait that she is given. Now she has the 3rd lowest HE shell damage at 4,800. She has the joint 2nd best fire chance of 35%, and she has the 2nd lowest AP shell damage of 9,700. Now, all together, when combined with that rate of fire, she ends up having the 2nd lowest HE DPM, the lowest AP DPM, and the below average fires per minute. Going on to manoeuvrability, and this is where one of her traits comes back again. She is fast. She is in fact the fastest at the tier, doing 29.5 knots. Very nice cruising speed, and I've probably taken it a little bit too far by using Guépratte as a commander, Fraser as an inspiration, and a common battle booster at least. I'm in a bit of an awkward crossfire here. I've got a Warspite to my right, a Gneisenau to my left, and a Normandy to my front. So this is actually a very horrible situation to be in, especially in the Dunkerque. So I've just got to try and get myself nice and angled against 2 of them and hope for the best, and hope the Warspite's distracted at least. Now we have the 3rd largest turn circle of 730 meters, and we have just above average rudder shift of 14 seconds. Going on to the concealment, and we are slightly above average detectability by sea and air, being 14.6 kilometers and 11.7 kilometers respectively. However, she does have slightly better concealment when firing smoke due to those small caliber guns, I guess you could say. Now, going on to consumables, and you do have 3 repair parties, and these will heal 262 HP per second for 28 seconds. That means that each repair party will heal 7,336 HP. Now, for your other consumable, you do have some options. You can either have 3 catapult fighters, or 3 spotter aircraft, or 2 enhanced secondary battery, and in this case I've decided to take the catapult fighter. Now, if you do want to know a bit more about the history of these ships and their design and technical information, then I'd always recommend Draken Finel's 5-minute guide, which will be carded top right now. Now, that is 7 minutes and 22 seconds long, but that does include the introduction and the outro. It will also be on the end screen. Now, as always, down in the description will be the modules and the commander build that I've used. However, as modules, I am taking Aiming Systems Module 1 and Propulsion Module 2. I've also kind of partially gone over my commander build. Rightio, so now with the review all over and done with, let's see what I can do in this game. Now I can pay a bit more attention to it. Normally broadside on, but I do have HE loaded because he was nose on when I was loading those guns. Let's load up some AP now. And what I might do, I might swing it out this way with the intention of trying to get the Pensacola nice and cornered, because we know the Pensacola doesn't have the greatest armor. Now, Pensacola is nice and angled, which is a little bit awkward. She goes nose on. I'm happy to take that shot because I'll have the length of the ship to arm my armor piercing, whereas when she's angled she might actually stand a reasonable chance of bouncing my 13-inch guns. Now, we're not too concerned about closing on the Pensacola because we know she does not have torpedoes. I think we'll let the Pensacola get a little bit closer. Should be alright now. There we go. The question is, what is the Normandy doing? So we are going to use that catapult fighter. At least now we have an idea where the Normandy is. Our team is losing massively, unfortunately. Now I'm going to stay angled against the Normandy simply because of that very thin nose plating that we have, unfortunately. However, we'll see if we can try and find something. Doing 12,000, knocking out a turret, getting ourselves angled, hoping for the best there. Just going to keep myself angled. My reload speed is definitely faster than hers. We know we've incapacitated one turret, so we might see if we can incapacitate another. Not quite. Going to keep myself angled. She knows what she's doing though. She went straight for the soft spot. Hoping to knock her turret out, unfortunately didn't. I think we managed to bounce that lot. She's going to try a drive-by. Got it. We managed to get the better of that. Ooh. Right, what we got left? Isabel, New Mexico, Mass. Mass has it detected, and we only have 4 minutes left, and we're broadside onto something that's going to hurt. Well, we are back on fire. Let's get that repair party going. Let's load up some HE. We've only got 13-inch guns, so we're not going to be hurting much of AP at this range. try and see if we can slow down the enemy's tick rate by getting this capped. Looks like another volley of HE. However, it looks like we're in a crossfire. Definitely going to be going for the mass first though. And blast, he started to dump a smoke. However, we dodged those taunts, but we are now in a horrible crossfire, and I don't think there's much we can do about this. The game has unfortunately got too desperate. And pop goes the whiz, unfortunately. That's the end of the game. All the best of luck to our friendly Dallas, and we'll have some Kondō as much. Well, here we are at the end screen. Not the greatest game, I have to confess. However, when reviewing, obviously you have to bear in mind I am distracted from reading from a book at the same time as playing, so I'll make my excuses now, I guess you could say. However, 61 hits on target, managed to sink 2 ships, get a shared capture, a couple of defender ribbons, and those secondaries actually kicking in quite nicely. So 80,000 damage, where does that get us on the table? Well, okay, alright. Right, we'll skip that. Right, okay. Still managed to make a decent profit as well. Ship service cost is only 32,000 credits due to being a tier 5, and she does have an enhanced credit earning potential, so she does have a reduced ship service cost. So she would have made me 144,000 credits without premium and 232,000 credits with premium. So she's actually quite a good money spinner. To be honest, I haven't been let down by her. I am consistently coming in top half of the team quite consistently. It's just down to the team, I guess, and what they do on their side of the map, and how we can, if I can do well on my side, and they do well on their side, then we can probably pull off a victory. But it seems like not having the greatest of teams this evening, potentially, although me being distracted probably doesn't help. Well, if you have enjoyed this, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you enjoy this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. If you are already subscribed, let's say thank you very much. Down in the description is the commander build and the ship modules, along with the email address for the channel if you want to send in your own personal game captures for the community spotlight video on a Monday, and also a link to Patreon. If you want to support the channel on Patreon, that would be much obliged, but it is completely voluntary. The channel is non-monetized though. It is one of the reasons why we do have Patreon, and if you are Patreon, then your lovely names will be appearing on screen now. Until next time, I'm the Guy from Major, and back to the port.